is Congressman Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff has been with us many times in the past. He's in Washington right now. Congressman, first of all, thank you for being with us. Are you there? Yeah. I'm reading a tweet. I believe this is from you. I would much rather have moments of action than moments of silence on the House floor. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is. We just had a moment of silence not 2 days ago on the Colorado Springs shooting. And, of course, not more than a couple weeks ago on the Oregon shooting. And here we have yet another mass shooting. And it's become a ritual to have these moments of silence on the House floor. And yet we do nothing about it, about these mass shootings. And I think it's important to note that no one solution is going to solve all these problems or prevent all of these shootings. But it would certainly prevent some of them, and it would save lives. And it appalls me that we go through this time and time again and yet don't have the resolve to do much of anything about it.
And Congressman Schiff, you know this, as we've been saying this morning, this falls right into the political prism of how people react. A lot of Democrats say we've got to get control of the gun situation here in the country. There are others on the other side who said if people in that room had guns, fewer people would have been killed because they would have shot the perpetrators. Express where you are on this issue.
Well, my feeling is, and we don't know yet the facts here. We're looking into whether there's a terror connection. We're looking into whether this is workplace violence. But we do know enough from the shootings that have happened historically over the last several years that one of the central problems has been people who are seriously mentally ill having too easy access to firearms. That is a problem we should solve, and that shouldn't pose a problem to law-abiding folks who want guns in their homes or guns for self-protection. There's no reason why someone who is that mentally ill ought to have a firearm. So we should come together on this. Even folks that are members of the NRA support universal background checks. That is widely supported by the American people. So even if we're able to make sure that mentally ill, seriously ill people can't get firearms, if you can't do an adequate background check, you can't prevent it. These are steps that we can and should take. It won't solve all the problems, but it will solve some of the problems.
Although the mentally ill discussion is an important one, I don't think that really comes into play in this particular situation.
It may not. We have yet to find out what the motivations were, and clearly there was some pre-planning here. It doesn't look like it was a purely spontaneous act after an argument at a party. But nonetheless, even if that weren't enough to prevent this killing, there are other things that there are other shootings that it would have stopped, where you have, in Colorado, the shooter there with serious mental health problems. In Sandy Hook, the shooter there with serious mental health problems. Virginia Tech, countless mass shootings where mental health has been a major factor.
And you do say, and it's important to reiterate, we can't rule anything out. Was it workplace violence? Was it terrorism? Maybe a combination of both. But you have said in the past, and I believe you continue to say, it's a no-brainer when it comes to people who are on the terror watch list. They shouldn't be able to purchase firearms.
Absolutely, and this is one of the most common sense measures that you can imagine, where at the intersection of terrorism and mass violence, we want to prevent these people from flying on planes to the United States, but what? We're going to let them go and buy a military-style assault weapon with an extended ammunition clip? That's crazy. That's crazy, and it's a terrible indictment of this Congress that we are paralyzed from even addressing something that basic.
Let me ask you a larger question here, Congressman Schiff. You have, we know you. You're a local guy. You've served in Congress for many, many years. You've been around this game a long time. As you look at the situation here right now with this shooting, with all the other shootings, with the potential religious/geopolitical aspects of this shooting, do you find yourself just really depressed and negative about the future?
Well, I'd say what really grabs at me, in addition to the horrible loss of life, this year I've been spending with my daughter going around to visit colleges. She's a senior applying to college. I find myself thinking about, what would happen if there was a campus shooting. I don't want to be thinking about that when I'm enjoying the wonderful experience of taking my daughter to college. I don't want any other parent to have to endure that. And I also hate the fact that as I travel around the world meeting with our intel people in other parts of the world, and you ask people, foreign citizens what they think of America, too often they associate America with mass gun violence. That's not the kind of association I want people around the world to have about our country. I want them to think about our values, about our courage, about our strength, about our humanity, not about the scourge of mass gun violence here.
One last question for you, Congressman Schiff. You talk about background checks. You talk about making sure that people who are mentally unstable do not have access to guns. Sounds reasonable. When you talk to conservative members of the Congress, whom you see every single day, do they share that view with you, or do they disagree?
Some certainly disagree. Others, I think, agree privately, but are merely cowed by the power of the NRA, by its mobilize at a grassroots level and challenge them in a primary. And I think that prevents them from doing some very common sense things like voting to keep guns out of the hands of people who are on a terrorism watch list. I mean, how else can you explain that? That is not a rational position for anyone to take. I'm going to have to jump off the line. We actually have a vote on the House floor.
All right. Go take care of business. All right.
Thank
All right,
you.
Congressman Schiff,
Thank you.
28th Congressional District.